Grand Rising family, it's Shay Seeking from American Aborigines Unchained here on YouTube and Facebook. Again, we are here to try and research and tell her story, meaning America, because his story lied. Okay, so again, we were looking at this yesterday, and again, this was not a part of the stuff that I wanted to show you, but it came up, and so I felt like I just wanted to share it. Okay, so let's get right into it. Um, so right here is what I want to look at. Okay, because I decided when I came down here just to go ahead and Google something simple like slavery or sugar colony slave trade, just something simple like that. And so something came up. Okay, when that came up, it brought me back to this portion of this uh, article or whatever it is. Okay. So it says in the English colonies, slave status for Africans became hereditary in the mid 17th century with the passage of colonial laws that defined children, okay, minors or children born, okay, okay, and I'm wondering if born means the same thing as birthed, because again, a ship births up, it comes up to a dock and it gives birth. It also has a belly or a womb that has ribs. Okay. So again, children born in the colonies as taking the status of their mother. Okay. Under the principle of partus sequitur ventrim. Okay. By the end of the American Revolution, okay, which was like 1765 to 1780 something or 83, I think. Okay. And again, I wrote down a little note here that it was I just wanted to see how they were wording it. And it said that the American Patriots, again, then we would have to know exactly really what the Patriots were, and the French beat Britain. Okay. Okay. Um, which mean that they were freed from the British rule, okay, to a certain extent, or someone was, okay. The European colonial powers had embedded. So embedded is something very, uh, I'm gonna have to go ahead and do etymology on my own on that one. Chattel slavery for Africans and their descendants throughout the Americas, including the future United States. And I think after the revolution is when they became the United States. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this here. This partus, whatever. Okay. So his Latin for that which is brought forth. Okay. So something that's brought forth. Again, are we talking about a ship bringing forth some people? Because we're talking about the sugar slave trade, is what I'm calling it now. But it was the colonial slave trade, mainly beginning with sugar, okay, where they were bringing, okay, since we read yesterday that they were bringing people from the Caribbeans up to some of these colonies in order to do this work. They did that are not from Africa, okay. So it's kind of tricky because who was ruling? We didn't have a so-called president yet, okay. Um, so who was ruling what, why, and for? All of this stuff is so deep, okay. Um, to where we're talking about Louisiana and its parishes and things like that. Because okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so I have so much on my mind. Sorry. So anyhow, when I looked up sugar slave trade, Louisiana came up. And it was a place that doesn't call itself a town or a county. It says that it is maybe near a parish or it may be a parish, but it is we'll see in a second. Okay, sorry, I don't want to get off track. So anyhow, we'll see where I was going with all that in a second. Okay, so that which is brought forth follows the belly or womb. Okay. Okay, follows the belly or the womb. So even, on a, sorry, that's my chair. Even on a basic plain level, if we could be talking about Africans now taking, okay, so-called Africans or North Africans being brought from that area into Brazil. We know that that was happening. More of them were coming in at some point before, I mean, after actually they were bringing so-called slaves. Okay, so if these particular Africans that were brought over took the uh, original people or indigenous people from that area and brought them up into the Americas, okay, this port that I'm going to show you guys in a second was very popular for uh, what they call slaughterhouses, okay, because they weren't allowed in certain parts. So this particular place I'm going to show you guys is where a slaughterhouse would be, and then you can just what we're going to look at, then you can discern what we're talking about, after that, okay. So I'm saying, what if those particular people are the ones that brought these people here? So then they assume the role of the people that were on the ship that brought them there, and then that turned them from it being originals to being African. Okay, because Africans were the ones that transported or brought them, imported or whatever them into that area. Just this is just a thought out loud. Okay. So that which is brought forth follows the belly or the womb, because it also reminds me about removing a rib. I don't know. We'll just keep going. Often abbreviated to partus. So if you split that, it's saying part us. Okay. Even till death do us part is kind of just coming out to me right now. Okay. Um, because again, it will be a wedlock or a joining, okay, of these people. The men were the foreign entities that came in, the women were the people that were already on the land. They use these terms, we don't realize what they're talking about, but again, reading the biblical text helps me put it all together. Just like the living creatures or the living beings, that's talking about certain people that have rights and stuff in this land. More than likely they are foreign, okay, than the dead people that had to die or be sacrificed in order for them to put their uh, pretty little houses on top of yours, or to confiscate yours and take, because then they also say that some of these things come from the uh, papal bulls and things like that. Okay, so let's keep going. Was a legal doctrine concerning the slave or free status, okay? The slave or free status, okay, of children born in the English royal colonies. So it's funny that they say royals, because again, remember, these people were coming here in order to uh, join with you, surjoin with you, or graft in, so that they can then take over some of these things that we called plantations at some point in time, you know, so on. Okay. So again, I was reading about some of this stuff that were saying that some of these, it was seeming to say that some of these darker view people were the ones that actually owned the plantations at one point in time, but now it had been traded over to their so-called white counterparts. Okay. So it's just very strange. This is not going to be in your mainstream history because, again, everything was built to lie and keep the truth from you. Okay. So that means they had to lie to everybody. So, okay. So again, the royal colonies, okay? So again, these were people of royalty and they were joining with, they're not going to join with the slaves and the people that don't have any power or any standing or any land here. They join with people that did. Again, it's something that you can see that is some type of syndrome that, again, no offense, but you see how even in Hollywood they portray this. You have a darker view male or female in Hollywood, um, and these people are connected to some of these bloodlines too. Okay, just so you know, they're being used as pawns in the game. Okay, so even though they look like you, they may not be like you or you. Okay, so anyhow, you'll see that once they get to a certain status in their, or a certain level in their craft, that they will not have a so-called uh, black woman with them anymore. They will be with some random looking foreign or Caucasian woman, um, later on in life, again, maybe even having children with them. And then what happens? The wealth usually goes to those children that come later, okay, that look like their father, okay, ones that, yeah, look like their father. Same thing we're talking about in the biblical text, okay. It was borrowed from the civil law of Europe, okay, so it was borrowed from the civil law of Europe. But it's so funny how we're talking about France and the Patriots beat Europe, but then they borrowed something from them. A legal system originating in continental Europe and adopted in much of the world. The civil law system is uh, intellectualized within the framework of Roman law. Again, it's funny how we're talking about Roman law. It's funny how this earthquake just happened in Sparta. It's funny how we saw the things that we saw that were very, when we did some stuff about the Romans a couple of weeks ago. I'm just, well, I know what it is, but again, I'm just wondering still. Okay. We'll just word it that way. Okay. Because I don't like to come off as a know-it-all, but I know what I see, and like I always tell you, I'm not here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looks like to me. Okay, so yeah, and the core principles codified into a referable system which serves as a primary source of law. Now we're not going to go all the way into depth, okay? Which applied throughout the Americas. Okay, it's not saying the United States. Know this. See, this is the same thing how they do in the Bible. At one point, you're talking about this, but another point, because they changed the term, you can't continue to say that that's the same thing because it's not. There are different so called gods and lords throughout the Bible. It's not always talking about the same actual person. These are parts that they play. Okay, so yeah. So Americas, throughout the Americas, in the colonies of Spain, okay, Portugal, France, and Dutch, okay. So again, they beat Europe at some point in time, but they took their law and started using it. I don't understand that part. Among others, incorporated into legislation in the British American colonies of Partus, held that the legal status of a child followed that of the mother, okay. The legal status of the child followed that of the mother. Now, the mother, in a sense, cannot change. Okay, we know where that mother, um, birthed that child. Okay, so again, are we talking about the actual? We're not using the woman here. See, different terms. Okay, so the mother would have to be talking about the woman, which, if it's true that in America it was more of a matriarchal or side by side type of group before these people came here, and the mother would hold the wealth in the land. Um, it's even starting to sound like dowry again to me when it comes to daughters. Okay, but again, that of his mother. Okay, so it doesn't say their mother or anything like that. It's saying of his. Okay, of his. It should say his or her mother. So again, my thinking is all over the place right now. um so again, could it be motherland? Okay, or are we really talking about the mother again, the womb? Okay, all right. um Again, because they'll leave their mothers and fathers. That's the mother and father land. In order to join with their wife would be the allotted land that they wed or to take, to have, and to hold. Okay, through sickness and in health. And they've transferred that into something that we call a wedding today, where we spend all this money and we do all these things for what? A piece of paper. So again, when you actually are signing yourself and your children back up in the future to be a different part of this construct or system with these particular people having rulership or authority over you. Same thing when you purchase a car. It's your car, but once you sign all this stuff and get the title and all that stuff from them, you're basically signing it back into the hands of the construct. It's not yours anymore. Okay? So, thus, any child born to an enslaved woman. Now, here we go again. Okay? Any child born into an enslaved woman. You can take this when we're talking biblical, and I'm telling you guys that the women stood for men, and you can look up women and woman in etymology, and you'll see that there's some more questions to be asked about what a woman really is. I'm telling you, they've lied about everything, even that term. Okay? So this is saying any child born to an enslaved woman. And I think in this case, we could be talking about, since there's going with history and law, we can clearly probably say that we're talking about someone who is of the land that they've conquered. Okay, like a prisoner of war, more and so. Okay, was born into slavery. Okay, regardless. Now remember, they had some of the women of other lands that had been conquered that would look like you or close to your hue, that they brought here with them to help them do the dirty work as well. Okay, so this is regardless. So here they are throwing away ancestry. Okay, heritage, so-called culture. Okay, so regardless of the ancestry or citizenship of the father. Okay, so okay, wait a minute. Regardless of the ancestry or the citizen of the father. Okay, so the father could be a foreigner. See, oh shit, hold on. The father could be a foreigner, have a bait plant hit or these seamen could be foreigners and come and plant their seed into the earth or the original woman here in America. Okay. Okay. And then are we saying that, okay, are we saying that now, since the father that would be a foreigner could come and take that from the child, so it was passed on to the child, okay? But since the father is also connected to the child, okay, okay, that would, are we talking about just people in general that are connected to the mother, would be her children, the children of America and her islands? Are we talking about little babies and children, or are we talking about actual people that are, again, adults? Okay. So again, regardless of the ancestry and citizenship of their father. So if the president to some of these groups was the great father, you see what I'm saying? Okay. No matter what he was, they would still be his property. Okay. They would still be property or slaves. Okay. Okay, hold on. This principle was widely adopted. Okay. Again, adopted is one that we should look at into the laws regarding slavery in the colonies. Okay. And it's just so happens that we're talking about royal colonies. Okay. That we're talking about royal colonies. So regardless of what, any of the people here would be born into slavery, regardless if their father is a citizen or has a different ancestry. Okay. Doesn't matter if he is a royal king, right? Possibly is what we're talking about. The child will still be his property. Okay. It's almost starting to sound like the girl that took the baby out of the reeds, out of Moses or whatever, and raised him with the Pharaoh. This is what this is starting to kind of sound like to me. Okay. Yeah, so it was widely adopted and following, okay, in the slavery in the colonies and the following United States. Okay. So they took that into the United States corporation. Okay. Eliminating financial responsibility of the, hold on, eliminating financial responsibility. Could that be some kind of, also not dowry, but that, could that be some kind of meaning the father gets uh, to be free from his responsibility? Let's see. Let's just read the whole thing, okay? Because sometimes I get too excited. Okay. Eliminating financial responsibility of fathers for children born into slavery, while securing the slave owner's property right in the okay, so it still is okay, because the father would be the lord or the master or slave owner. Okay, so landlord, lord of the land, um, or the earth. Okay, so yeah, this would eliminate financial responsibility of the father for children born into slavery. So again, they could not get any kind of riches from these royal people in these royal colonies, um, because the child would be born into slavery, which means that he would then go ahead and give that his money after he was passed away, or gift his money to someone else. Okay, all right, maybe even more pure. Okay, white pure. Okay, child that looked like him, instead of the ones that again would be, we would say that indigenous, those people would still be closer to darker or medium skin tone. And as you keep going up to native and foreign, again, they would not have to share the same bloodline. um, Same thing like how you seen with on the plantation. Okay, that things would go to the so-called white children. Okay, even the slaves. Okay, when the master or lord died, they would not, even if he had more children with a slave woman, she and them would not get anything. But when it comes to George Washington passed away and Martha and everything, they had problems with uh, don't think that there was not darker children that were hidden there. Okay, but he had to go ahead and separate that between his three children that looked like him, because again, this particular God in Genesis, what did he want to do? Make someone in his own image so that they can be rulers of everything. And they say something like see the fish of the sea, which is basically the fish out of water, the new people, the foreigners that came over on through the waters. Okay, we've already established that. Okay. Okay, that sounded like a lot. While securing the slave owner's property right in the children, but he would still own them. So all these children would become his property. Okay, and this is an illustration of Margaret Garner. Okay, okay, now you see this man here, this darker view man here, even. Okay, now I don't know what this is. I don't know why this, everything is always symbolic, dude. And that's why you used to see all these older men, um, what do you call it? Uh, with what do you call it? Dang, I cannot remember. Magnifying glasses, looking at these images, because there's lots of details in these images. They are worth 1,000 words. Okay, so again, I don't know what this stick is behind her, this branch or whatever, but anyhow, it looked like this is supposed to be her shadow. So this is Margaret Garner, an escaped slave who killed two of her children so that they would not have to endure slavery. Okay, all right. So I guess she had, two left. And then again, is this some form of sacrifice to God? Again, I told you guys this didn't have to be. Let's see. I wish I could see the date under here. No, they're not going to show it. I'll have to see it a different way. Oh, there it is. May 18th, 1867. Okay. And again, yeah, that would have been two years into the Revolutionary War. Okay. So it says the modern media, hmm the story of Margaret Gardner, photographed by Brady or something, whatever, painting at the Thomas Noble something page, whatever. Okay. Now I'm just going to save this image because I'm going to look up that book, hopefully, and see what else I can find. Okay. So again, I don't want to keep you guys too long on one thing. Okay. So let's just go back. Okay. All right. So this is going to go further into, again, just so, in case you guys want to look this up, you will probably have to look this up here, Google it, or even put it into Wikipedia, whatever you want to call it. So again, prior to the adoption of the doctrine in England's colonies, English common law. Again, this is reminding me of the commoners here. Okay, defining characteristics of common law is that it rises, as pre or precedent. Okay, in the case where the party disagree on what the law is, in common law courts look at the. Okay, all right. So anyhow, so in case you want to look at this, um, we, even when we're yeah, okay. So again, I didn't, I'm gonna just keep it here because I do want to look back into it. Okay, all right. So again, they say some slick stuff about enslaved in their own land. They say some slick stuff, but we're not gonna stay here. Okay, we're gonna go here. Okay, so I looked up the sugar slave trade. Okay, in America. Okay, and we got this. Okay, one second. Domino Sugars uh, Calmet refinery in Arabia. It said L.A., but Louisiana, I'm guessing. Okay, that's a damn shame. But I have to go up so many stairs. People leave my door open. I can hear stuff going on, and it distracts me. So anyhow, the 1619 project examines the legacy of slavery in America. Okay. So, anyways, it sits on the edge of the mighty Mississippi River, about 5 miles east by way of the River Bend from the French Quarter. Okay. And less than a mile down from the lower Ninth Ward, where Hurricane Katrina and the failed levees destroyed so many black lives. So notice more and more they're calling you black now, you know. Okay, excuse me, but again, dead lives. And if you're dead, how you living? So again, you could be dead by law, but look like you're living because you're breathing and you're walking around. See, all right. It is North America's largest sugar refinery, making nearly 2 billion pounds of sugar and sugar products. It's funny. I think ain't that something sugar that was Oprah's uh, show. I can't remember exactly what it is right now about that family that had that plantation or I mean that farm. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, sugar products annually. Okay, 4 pound yellow bags. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, all right. Okay, so again, they making a lot of money off of sugar, and if it's the largest, then this must make a lot of money. It must have made it's more addictive. It's what I'm saying when it comes to so-called cotton. because they made us think in school, or we just really, I mean, whatever they made us think, it gave you a perception and it kind of stuck with you. That really, most of the time, they say picking cotton, cotton picking, 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 cotton, cotton, cotton. Okay, we forget about all those other ones. Again, the agenda and the mind control and the indoctrination is there to also do that. Okay, okay, because they don't want to talk too much to you about everything, because then you'll start questioning everything like we're doing now. Okay, so again, once I saw that, okay, then I said, okay, well, let's look and see where this place is. Okay, let's see. Now it says Arabi, and I'm thinking Arabia. Okay, come on now. Come on now. Okay. Come on. Arabi is a census designated place, a CDP in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana. United States, you see what it's saying. Okay. Began as a plantation house in 1854. Okay. Okay. So they began in 1854. Okay, then I'm thinking 1860. Okay, all right, all right. And was later a hotel and gambling venue, destroyed by arson in 2013. Okay, all right. So it also says that, okay, it lies on the eastern bank of the Mississippi River between the lower Ninth Ward, we already read that, and Chalmette, within the greater New Orleans metropolitan area. The population was whatever. Okay. So again, it's saying zip code, and I guess it's, instead of a town or whatever, it's a parish, I'm guessing. Okay. Again, I've always been curious about that kind of stuff, but never went that deep. Okay. So then I looked at this, the census designated places. Okay. It's funny how it says entering Oracle. I don't know what that is or where that is. Okay. According to the Census Bureau, census designated places, CDPs, are the statistical counterparts of incorporated places. Incorporated. Okay. Into the corporation or the so called country, or I don't know. And are delineated to provide data for settled concentrations. I hope this ain't camps. Okay, of population that there are identifiable by name, okay, but are not legally incorporated, okay, under the laws of the state in which they are located, okay. All right, so maybe that's why it's called a parish, or it's sectioned off that way. I don't know, but it's delineated, okay. Well, what is delineated? I'm telling y'all about that ad, about to piss me off. Delineated is a verb, 1550s, okay, to mark out. Again, remember, all this stuff is even what I'm talking about today into what was talked about yesterday, between the in the early 1500s up, okay, and then the mid 1600s, okay, was what it was talking about, okay, to mark out lines. Okay, and I'm also wondering if these are the same type of lines that are in the caste system to separate the classes. Okay, from Latin delineatus. Okay, look, D-line or D-lin. Oh, wait a minute. So if you say D, that's taking away, okay, or removing or something, and then lin, okay, is that the lineage? I don't know. And then eat, okay, eat us. Really? So D-lie or D-line, even a bloodline. You see what I'm saying? Eat us. Again, because again, to eat, when we're talking about in biblical, and to eat is to consume. So even when they're saying, or even to consume whatever and do whatever you want with, kill if you wanted to at that point in time. But same thing when we're talking about, they're talking about cannibalistic people or people that would eat the people. These are people that they came into their lands, original people that wasn't having it, and they would just kill the people. That's see, cannibalism doesn't always have to be. See, and that's why I'm saying the way that they worded this stuff has built the fed the minds of the people to this day. But there's only a couple of people that we can see are still eating, or that actually do eat people, is what we think we're seeing today. Um, okay, but where the thing starts is what's important. Okay, so when they would say, "Oh, these tribes were cannibalistic," that means that they were killing off the children. Okay, of the foreigners. Okay, because they didn't want no parts in that. Okay, so past participle of delinear. Okay, let's see what it says. To sketch out. Okay, to blot out, like God says in the Bible, from existence so that they will be known no more. Things like this that we hear several times. From D, completely, linear, draw lines. Okay, from, again, that's what they do when they do a family tree, almost like how they doing here. They draw lines. Okay, from linear or line, 1600s. Okay, are we talking about the 6th day again? As represents pictorial 1610s, describe, represent to the mind or understanding, to stand under something. Okay, portray in words. Okay, so delineated. Y'all see that part? Okay, so we've read that article. We see this. Okay,